Hey everyone, what's the crack? Lawrence here with another exciting pedal set, this time again from Scandinavia. Don't know what they're putting in the water over there, but they are coming up with some exciting sim racing products. This is not a company that I've dealt with before or that's related to any of the companies that I have worked with before, but the pictures look absolutely stunning. Their product range looks amazing. I can't wait to get this unboxed. Let's do it. So apologies firstly for the FedEx tape all over this, FedEx DHL tape all over this. They repackaged it, they checked what was inside and stuff like that. So I just opened this up just to make sure that there wasn't another box because of the repackaging tape. We can see actually they did rebox some of this maybe. They checked what's inside here. So that one's all taped up again. Just throw that over here for now and we'll put that out of the way. We've got lots of foam in here. And in there we've got the money. Very simple packaging, super simple. Look at how small and compact these pedals are. That's like, I'm just going to take all three of them out at the same time because they really, I mean, if you've got a motion rig or something like that and you want high-end pedals, because these are priced in the high-end range, the two pedal set. So that would be the throttle and brake. I'm guessing, is this the throttle or is it the clutch? The throttle, I'm not actually sure which one of these is the throttle and which one is the clutch. I'll have to figure that out. But the two pedal set, this is definitely the brake here. And I'm guessing this is the throttle just because it has the smaller spring, the larger spring maybe for the clutch. Not 100% sure. Oh yeah, I can see by the pedal face, duh. Right, this is why first impressions videos are actually really good, because you get my proper first impressions, and this is what goes through the mind of anybody as they're, you know, opening these products. So that's the two pedal set. Two pedal set comes in at around €800. If you add the clutch to it, it brings it up to around, I think it's 1050, €1100. Not exactly sure of the exact pricing, and that is a pre-order price. They are building these, making these right now as we speak, and they are shipping them, I think, as soon as today. I'm not actually 100% sure. So most of you watching will never have heard of the Simgrade brand. They used to be called Simgear, I think it was. Something like that. It was kind of a generic name, but they changed to Simgrade in August of 2020. So I've been in contact with them for a long time. They do have another set of pedals that you might know them for, you might have seen before. That's these pedals. I may be reviewing those at some stage in the future, but these are a far more traditional, far more compact pedal set. As you can see, they're absolutely tiny. That is very, very small. And that's really, I think that's very nice, especially if you've got a compact or a minimalist rig, something with motion. This is exactly what you want. The pedal faces, absolutely everything is machined like beautifully. The insert pieces here are made of really nice plastic, just properly molded. There's nothing here that looks, you know, homemade. Is that actually plastic? Could be metal, I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out. It almost looks like forged metal, but it's either way, it's a very high quality material. I think it might actually be forged metal. It might be powder coated or something like that to give it that effect. And not 100% sure. Again, I'll have to figure more of that out. But the pedal faces are beautiful, very nice. At first glance, it's a little bit weird at the front that you kind of have one hole that's open. That is, of course, for the adjustability. But what you often see is that you'd have lots of adjustability on the pedal arm itself. That gets hidden by the pedal face, and then you don't have to have extra holes on the pedal face itself. That's a minor thing. It's not going to make a functional difference. What it means is that you can just move these pedals up and down. I'm not actually sure why people do this, because you never actually do this in real life. It gives a little bit of a feel, I guess, for the product. But super compact. There's not a lot to digest, not a lot to unbox, and a lot of people love this type of product because it's super simple. There is adjustability. If we have a look here at the throttle, if we have a quick look at the adjustability here, we can see that we can move this arm up and down here, so it can go all the way up here. You'll get different levels of resistance depending on what you do with that arm. So this arm can move all the way up like that, and that should significantly change the feeling of this. There are no spare springs with it, so it'll be interesting to see how this works. This part, of course, is curved, so the spring itself should have the same resistance, or should give the same resistance regardless of where you are, but it should change the feel or the throw a little bit when you actually do move that up and down. Again, I'll have to see that in practice, and that's for another video, but that's my first impression of this here. Same with the brake. So the brake, they've gone for a high mount here. Of course, the closer this point is to your foot, the more direct you're braking into that. When you move this down, you end up getting more leverage on the brake. So what will most likely happen here is that I think you probably have most travel in this position here, and you've less travel down here. There's one big elastomer, so that's not a plastic housing. That's a big elastomer that we see there. And when you push that, there's no kind of end stop to that. So that'll be interesting to see how that all works. And where, I'm just trying to see if this is that a load cell? Yeah, the load cell is underneath. Okay, interesting. So is the load cell down here? It seems to me like the load cell is in the actual housing itself here and not on this elastomer. Interesting. So that's going to be, I don't know if that's going to make a difference, but that is an interesting design approach. Look how that's one of the most compact brakes that I've ever seen. So hats off to that. From an innovation point of view, they don't look groundbreaking to a lot of people, but I think some people here will really, really love that design. It looks like a lot of engineering has gone into it, but it doesn't look like they're over-engineered either. So there's a real air of quality about it, which is really cool. Very nice. They've got nice little, on the bolts on the side here, they've got nice little like external, I don't know, it's almost like it makes those bolts hand adjustable, which is interesting. They haven't done it on the throttle pedal here, but here on the clutch they have, which is interesting. As I always do, I'm just going to run these in their default configuration, so exactly how they were, how they came from the factory. Going to mount them to my rig, and I'm just going to see how they feel as they were intended, because I firmly believe that when a company sends you a product, you should be able to use it in the way that they imagine you using it straight away, without any setup other than, having to install some software or whatever, maybe doing some calibration. But the actual physical setup should be the way that they intend for you to use it from the factory. Now, using brakes, using force feedback, using all that is a very subjective thing, so they're not always going to nail it, but at least if they send out a positive indication of what they think or what they know that most of their customers want, that's a very, very good starting point. And it often means that you just get that little bit of extra loyalty or hype at the start when you use a product. So things like that, little things like that are very important. So hopefully these will have left the factory as they intend to use them, especially at this price point. Just going to move the pedals off to the side slightly and just show this pedal plate here. Take this off, some T-nuts there. So this is the pedal plate, which should sit just in front of the pedals like this. So you mount these directly to profile. There's no profile provided with this. So this is just a heel rest that you can put on your rig. So it gives you that little bit of support as you're pressing the pedals. So that's all it is. This is only about €40 or so. So this is very, relatively affordable. As I say, the 2-pedal set is around €800 on pre-order, and the full set is just shy of €1,100 also on pre-order. Where the prices will go after that, I'm not 100% sure, but I do have high expectations for this product. Right, I think that's enough talking for now. Let's get these on the rig. So here we are in the rig and I've downloaded the software. This is the Simgrade software. You can see that even when I'm not touching the pedals, there is some input registering. Now, usually with pedals like this, we've got ultra sensitive sensors and they're actually registering some bit of input at all times. So you can see those numbers on the screen. They're fluctuating just that little bit, and that's perfectly normal, and that is one of the reasons that we calibrate. That's basically the whole purpose of being able to calibrate with software like this, is to just make sure that we're sitting proud or just shy of those thresholds so that we're not registering bogus input, so that your throttle isn't pressing as you go down the straight. So you might say to yourself, why don't they just do it in the factory? But as these things get moved around and stuff like that, because they're so super sensitive, you want to be able to recalibrate at any stage, especially if you're changing the throw of the pedals or something like that. Once you change anything mechanically on a set of pedals, you generally just need to recalibrate it and stuff like that. So we can actually see on screen here on the right hand side, the throttle sensor, we can see that that is registering at 27%. And I don't have my feet on the pedals at all. So, and we can see some upper and lower thresholds that are already set. But let's just do some calibration here. I'm not familiar with the software. It defaulted to English. As you can see here, as we press that throttle, even when we're at 100%, it's registering 96. So I'm guessing this bar here, we just grab that. There we go. That registers all the way to 100%. So 99, 100. So that the number actually disappears when you hit that 100. So that's fine. We also need a minimum. So it looks like just grab that minimum and put it there. Now, the slightest touch to the throttle is registering. That's our throttle calibrated. Nice and easy, pretty intuitive as well. Maybe, like, I've used similar software to this before, so maybe it's more intuitive. I don't know. I'll let you be the judge of that. But let's go for the clutch now. And actually, I sat in the rig before I hit record, and I pressed this clutch, and it's a very interesting clutch because it doesn't look like it has a bite point at all, but it has. I don't know, it does feel vaguely familiar. It feels a bit like a racing clutch, and it's a bit odd. I can't put my finger on it. It's going to be difficult to do like clutch kicks and stuff with it, but we'll figure all that out. I'm not sure if you can make it lighter and stuff. It's a pretty heavy clutch, but it feels like, yeah, a heavy racing clutch. Very interesting. Feels different to pretty much any clutch that I've used in the past. So let's calibrate it anyway. So the 100 is around here. With a clutch, it's not really that important. You know, full is full. It's not that sensitive a piece of equipment. And this actually is kind of similar to if you want to simulate a real clutch. The first little bit doesn't actually do much until it starts, disengaging. So this is actually a relatively realistic setting. It just means that, it's relatively realistic, but I'm going to just set it the way that you would normally set this up. So just above this sensor line, you can kind of see a trend here. That's 0 to 100%. We're going to do the same for the brake. See, the brake is actually already set up just above there. So it should be nice and sensitive. I'm only barely touching that, and it is registering, which is nice. And our 100%, I mean, I can hit 100%, but there's quite a bit of force on that. It's a 200 kg load cell. I'm not going to use that 200 kg. I'm happy enough. That's probably a little bit too light. Right now, I have the elastomer configured. Maybe a little bit less than that. This is not an exercise to show, you know, how strong my legs are. This is where, you know, just to figure out where I like my 100% to be. That's pretty much where I like my 100% to be. So there's a good bit of force that you have to put on it, but not too much. So if I want a trail brake or whatever, I've got plenty of space there. So that brake feels pretty good. I can see, let's see, yeah, 0%, 0 to 100, 0 to 100, 0 to 100. That all looks good. Let's see, can I save this? You can turn off the clutch here and you can put in filters as well. I'll just leave the filters at 0 for now. Save this config. Right. Save it as LD. Save. Done. Okay, what did these filters do? Okay. Yeah, I'll have to play around with those filters and stuff. Not for this video. That's for my overall review. But for now, the pedals are set up. So let's get into in-game and see what they perform like. So here we are in my trusty Formula Agile. That throttle seems to... It's almost like there's already a bit of a curve in it. You can see that this is half... I don't know. Interesting to keep note of. The initial travel, the initial part. Maybe I just have them calibrated a little bit low. They're very nice and sensitive. I guess that's the takeaway from that. Is that there's a good sensitivity in them. My steering rotation might be slightly out. Doesn't matter for the purposes of this video. Yeah, just trying to get a feel for what the pedals are like. The throttle has a good weight. I'm not sure if it's heavy enough for my liking. There is a good bit of weight though, and it's nice and linear, so that's good. The brake it does have a progression to it. Again, like at a glance, the way it is, you don't have the same type of progression that you might have with a multi-stage system. But that said, it's one big elastomer, and I guess the whole deal with load cell brakes is that you kind of remember how hard you pushed it the last time to achieve a certain amount. It becomes very intuitive. So even finding your point at which it locks up, like there I was very close to it, it gives you just a good memory of where it is. So we'll try again going in here into the old hairpin. Oh no. I just need to get used to it, but the theory is sound. My driving in practice is not that sound. Then we're back to front. That clutch though, I'm not sure. Now I do a lot of driving like rally and drifting, so I depend on my clutch quite a lot. Right now this clutch, it feels great for a race car clutch, as in, you know, if you're on the line and you want to do a good release, like it's definitely perfect for that. But for things like just kicking it, for going around corners, I'll have to try some heel toe with these pedals as well. Right now I'm not convinced, and I haven't. This is just the default setup. There may be loads of calibration. I may be able to make that clutch nice and light as well. But it's yeah, it's interesting. It's a different approach to doing a clutch. I'm 100% sure that some people will absolutely love this clutch, because for some people this is going to be the exact clutch that they've been longing for. It doesn't feel like a road car clutch. Just let me make that. So where most pedals seem to strive to make it something feel like a road car clutch, this is not like a road car clutch. You can see the input as it goes on the screen there. There's no simulated bite point as such. It actually feels, the clutch actually feels like a good, it feels like a kind of like a good load cell brake. That sounds a bit, it sounds like a, you know, an entry level load cell brake, or it feels like it. There's no progression on it as such, but it is easy to remember. If you want to go to like 50%, very easy to just remember that point. So there's a lot of resistance on it. I'm curious as to why they might have done that. I will of course do a lot more research on that and find out more from them. As far as, you know, so I've sat in competition race cars and stuff like that have a clutch for getting started. The clutch doesn't feel too dissimilar to that. There's, yeah, as I say, there's no clutch bite point simulation or whatever. A lot of people won't need that, and of course this is available as a 2-pedal set as well, which is you know, a good bundle as well. So it may not necessarily be for everybody to have that clutch as well. Right now, yeah, it'll take a bit of getting used to, and a bit of, yeah, just learning how that clutch is supposed to function. I haven't driven it with H pattern yet. You can see I'm already getting very comfortable with the pedals. Nice and intuitive. The throttle feels good and intuitive. It's not too light, it's not too heavy. The brake, it's easy to modulate that brake. Yeah, very easy to just stop shy of your brake point. This is a load cell brake, as I say. It's shy of your lockup point, I mean. It feels, yeah, nice and intuitive, easy to remember, easy to control. Even this car is an absolute handful, and it's quite easy to control it. So first impressions, I'm quite happy. The clutch is a little bit heavy. The brake and the throttle are excellent, very good. They're what you'd expect from a pedal set at this price point. That being said, they're not, you know, anything remarkable from my experience so far. But that said, you know, a throttle is relatively simple. As long as it has weight, which this does, then I'm quite easy to satisfy with a good throttle. Finding my braking points, right? That's your number one. Braking is so important. I'll probably recalibrate this to make it a little bit heavier. I thought when I was pressing it that I was pressing it quite heavy. You can swap out this damper that's on this brake. You can swap it out for a spring as well. That was just me missing my braking point. You can swap it out for a spring as well, so we'll investigate that for the full review. I've put the pedals slightly off to the left for more Formula style driving, and the clutch over here. Yeah, so far my gut is telling me if you're ordering the 2-pedal set, you'll definitely not be disappointed. They have a beautiful small form factor. They were easy to hook up, super easy to calibrate. So yeah, so far so good. I'm going to jump into a H pattern car. So again, same track. We're now in the, let me get the name right. This is the Abarth 500 Assetto course. Okay, so let's go. Just straight away I feel that clutch is very heavy. Yeah. I'm sure it's done by design. And they have worked with, you know, real race drivers on trying to develop this stuff. That clutch though, it's, as I already said, it feels very different to any clutch that I've used. It kind of feels a little bit like pressing a Fanatec V3 load cell pedal. I know that probably sounds, you know, super heavy to some of you, but just to give an indication of how heavy it is, it actually is quite heavy. I mean, it's manageable, but for quick gear changes, don't know if I want it to be that heavy. But let's work through that. Let's work with it for now. There may be loads of ways to adjust it, and I just haven't found them yet. I like to use hardware as it comes from the manufacturer so that we get a good sense for how they want it to be used. I know this is a slow car. Trust me, if you've never tried this car, the Abarth 500 Assetto course version is just, it's a little magical car. Whoa, through the gravel. Need to get used to it again though. That little shift up light in the bottom left. Get used to the rev ranges again. Throttle modulation coming out of a corner. One of the reasons I chose this was because it's a front wheel drive car. Right. Switching, you can even see as I switch gear, you can probably see that I'm not engaging that clutch fully, even though when I was calibrating, I was engaging it fully. I think that's just a set of Corsa letting me get away with not engaging that clutch fully. But in many games, like Dirt is very strict on your clutch. Ooh. Yeah, it's starting to feel good. Yeah, again, my only reservation is the clutch. That may be entirely by design. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong because I've calibrated correctly and I've not changed any setup. So just when you get it out of the box, that's what it's going to be like. There may be ways to change it. Do keep up in my Discord if you particularly want to know about that clutch. Do just ask me and I'll let you know if I got that clutch to feel a little bit more like what I expected. Now, what I expected is just what I expect. What I'm used to from a road car, it's what I'm used to from other pedal sets that I've reviewed in the past. And there is a kind of a, you know, there's a theme for how these pedal sets, how the clutch generally feels. So this very much goes against that grain. This would be, you know, on an entry or even a mid-range load cell pedal set. See there, I pressed the clutch. I guess I'm used to doing this track with two pedals. I pressed the clutch. It felt like the brake and the car didn't slow down. So in my mind, I'm just getting a little bit confused. Again, that might just be me. But yeah, it's a little bit weird. So there we have it. They were my quick first impressions of the Simgrade Thera pedals. Installation was relatively easy, even though those bolts are a little bit difficult to get to. That's just, I have small hands. They're a little bit difficult to get to. What I recommend is just drop those bolts into it first and then offer them up to the T-slot nuts. You will only be doing that once, remember, so that's not really a deal breaker. For me, I take pedals off all the time and stuff like that. So stuff like that I pay attention to. Not that they were difficult, they were slightly finicky. There are 4 bolts on there. You probably only need 2, to be honest. You can experiment with that yourself. They recommend you use 4, so use all 4 and use those washers as well. The footprint of the pedals is very small, which is very nice. They're super compact. And that pedal plate, I had some reservations about that pedal plate because there's no adjustability in it. It needs to fit into a slot, and the slots are a certain distance apart. If I move that lip forward 1 slot, the lip sits bang under the pedals, and I actually get no benefit out of that lip. So if you want the lip out of the way, you can do it that way. But having it back at this distance, there is no adjustability in this, but they're at the right place for me and my feet. So that is nice. I like what they've done. There's no big heavy pedal plate. It means shipping probably costs less on these as well. I'm not 100% sure what shipping to your area will be, and do check their website because they've got an introductory price for the 2 pedal set right now. It's around €800, and for the 3 pedals, so including the clutch, about €1,050 or €1,100, something like that. So it's not a cheap pedal set. It is exquisite quality. I would have spoken before about the quality of, you know, the likes of VNM and just their machining and stuff like that. This is up there. Again, this is a small operation. There are only 2 people in the company, and they're kind of getting up off the ground. They've got some beautiful, innovative designs. They do rigs and stuff like that as well. They're really a company to watch for the future, in my opinion. I really like what they've done with the pedals. I love that they're bringing out this product. The price is probably a little bit on the high side. Right now, for me, there's nothing exceptional that's warranting that massive price. But that's just my gut feeling, just my gut instinct. This is not a review. This is just my first impressions video. This is not the overall review of the product. So don't comment below saying thanks for the review, because this is not a review. Not a review. I'm sure people are still going to comment. Thanks for the review. But anyway, as long as you're getting some value out of it, that's all that matters for me anyway. For now, these are the Simgrade Thera pedals. I can't wait to spend a lot more time with them, and I'll chat to you all later.